Hi, I'm Willie Mayette from pianowithwillie.com. I want to welcome you to this mini lesson on not looking at your hands. Now, I don't mean just looking. I mean while you're playing the piano, right, or while you're playing your instrument, how to not look at your hands. Now, there's really no real secret to it. I mean, really, it's kind of like, in a way, like riding a bike. At one point, you can't do it, and at some point, you get your balance and you just start to do it. And the best way of doing it and the best way of learning how to do it is to do it over and over again. However, I can give you some tips that I have used myself that I think will make it a little bit easier for you. Right? First of all, let's dispel any myth that you may have that you cannot play without looking at the keys. You most certainly can play without looking at the keys. If that were not the case, if people couldn't play without looking at the keys, then obviously people like Stevie Wonder wouldn't be able to play the piano. But obviously they play and play very well. All right, so why is it that you would want to not look at your hands? All right? There's two main reasons I'm going to give you for why you should not look at your hands. One of them is physical and posture and just body mechanics. So let's talk about that one first. A lot of times you'll find that, like, if someone's sitting down there, like looking at their hands while playing, they're going to do like something like this. See what's happening with my neck? You can even hear it. You can even hear it in my voice as well. So like my neck is down, and I'm like cutting off my windpipe there, all right? And so flow of oxygen, not as much flow of oxygen. We all understand you need oxygen, not just to survive, but then also let's not forget the mechanics of you need oxygen to go to your muscles to keep from lactic acid building up, all right? So that oxygen you want to keep flowing back into the muscles. That's what's going to keep your hands and arms nice and loose. But also, you're going to get pains. It's going to be like you're going to get a stiff neck. So you want to be back, and you notice what I'm doing here with my eyes. See how I'm looking down, but you notice my neck is still relatively straight. All right. There was a great picture of Rubinstein, which he was sitting down. He's like sitting down, like playing the piano. He was just doing this, and his head was upright and erect, but he was just looking down with his hand, with his eyes. Right? Now, that's not to say you're going to be stiff the whole time. Like, you end up moving. All right, now, so that's the first reason for not looking at your hands, is to make sure that the body mechanics-wise, you're not going to get a stiff neck, all right? You're not going to hurt your neck. You're not going to cut off oxygen to your body. All right, so pretty simple. The second reason is that when you're looking at your hands, or you're looking at anything, for instance, now your brain is going to be processing what it sees, whether you want it to or not. That's just the way it goes. When you look at something, boom, your brain starts processing it, all right? So if you're looking at your hands, your brain is going to start processing what it sees. Now, this could turn into many different things, like, you could start to judge yourself and say, oh, no, why are you playing that? Or like, a lot of things, right? So basically, as you can shut off that, visual need to be able to look at something, now what's going to happen? Now you're going to start to hear things differently. And when I'm on a gig, I almost never play with my eyes open. Most of the gig, my eyes are shut, right? The only time my eyes will be open is like the beginning of a tune, like cueing or whatnot, or like if it's like, boom, like, okay, I'm done, bass player solo, just give them a look. And it's literally just, boom, just a look. And then everybody knows what to do, all right? So, but most of the time when I'm soloing and stuff, like, just all eyes closed. So keeping your eyes closed is great because it makes it so you can really listen to the music more. All right, so now let's get into some techniques. I've spent enough time on all of that. Some techniques. First technique that works really well, play with your eyes closed. Obviously, okay? So just sit down and play eyes closed. Now, at first, this might be difficult, so what I suggest that you do is you try and just kind of get a feel for the keyboard. Start to feel like, oh, okay, you know, I feel my 2 notes, 3 black notes. Just kind of like play around and see if you could feel where you are. Okay, there's C, all right? If you're gonna open your eyes and check, that's fine, all right? Don't get upset at yourself about that. And then just start playing around, see if you can kind of like, you know, just see how that feels. Now, sitting in front of middle C is going to help you out a lot, you know, being able to see how my belly button is right in front of middle C. Sometimes I'm a little bit lower, sometimes maybe a little bit higher, but for the most part, right in here. It's going to make it a lot easier for me to be able to, you know, get right in there and get the chords that I need. So I know C, right? See if I can hit the next C. Hit G. So just, you know, try playing around and making sure you know what notes you're you know, you can quiz yourself. Say, okay, hit E flat, hit D flat, B flat, B, C. Try playing a scale or two. You know, here's your C minor scale, C natural minor. All right, so eyes closed. Now, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to play with your eyes closed. It might feel weird. It might feel, it might be difficult. You might just want to keep opening up your eyes. So the next trick is play in the dark. I used to do this all the time. In fact, there was a piano in a library, a local library, that the piano was in a room by itself with no doors, well, just one door, and no windows. So I would shut the door, turn the lights off. I could play in complete darkness, complete darkness. That was great, because then I'm sitting down playing in complete darkness, you know, I feel around where I am, okay, like. You know, kind of get my bearings, and then just start to play. You know, just playing around in complete darkness. Now you can do stuff like blindfolds and stuff like that. I wouldn't waste your time with that. Either close your eyes or try playing in complete darkness. All right, so now that is going to kind of throw you into the deep end of the pool, so to speak. So what are some techniques that you could do to try and work on and practice being able to hit notes and chords accurately with your eyes closed? Well, the first thing you could do, and this is a tough one, all right? I'm not gonna lie to you. Try the whole exercise in which you. So I'm just trying to feel the difference. I'm trying to feel that space in the octave there. And this is where your ear is going to come in as well. See how I'm just using my pinky, lifting up. Now, typically when your hand is down, you're going to get to know that the distance there of the octave. This is another exercise you can do as well. See how I'm just going pinky up to thumb, pinky up to thumb. Maybe get the 9th, get the 10th. You know, do whatever you want, you know, like whatever intervals, maybe the 5th there, root 5, root 5, root. Right? So you pick some interval, right? And then just try working that interval. Now, see, as I start to like move away from it becomes much more difficult as I'm away, whereas when I'm centered here, it becomes much easier, because now, again, I'm centered. Right? So let me explain that one more time. As I move away from my center of where I normally am, like let's say I'm going to stand up and play. Well, there it's a little bit. If I'm like over here, like I'm standing up, you know, it's going to be weird for me to be able to get that distance because I'm in a different location. Whereas if I get myself centered, yeah, you know, it normally is easier. pinky to pinky. Now, there's something else you could do here is that very lightly I can feel these two black notes, right, with my fourth and third finger. See what I'm doing here? See how I can use those black notes? I'm just lightly touching them. And I use them as my guide as well. Right? Okay, so now try taking, just a minor chord. Again, notice I'm not looking at what it is that I'm playing. Trying to feel the space and the distance between the notes. Okay? Right, so let's review here. Some tips, some ways in which you can start to learn how to play without looking at your hands. Play with your eyes closed, play in a dark room. Okay? Okay, so you have those options. Now, some other things that you can do is that you can also, like I've said, you can start to use the keys as a guide, right? So, try using those keys as a guide and try and get specific intervals. So let's say you don't even have to do a specific interval. You could just, think to yourself which notes. Okay, so I'm going to go from a C, go up to E flat, all right? You can check yourself if you want. Just kind of get used to the sound, all right? G flat, go B flat. So try and just be able to lift your hand and move to these other notes. You could do your chords as well, or your arpeggios. Now, a good thing to do would be to go through your block chords as well. So take one type of block chord, like a minor chord, C minor. Then go down, A flat, D flat, G flat minor, F minor. Try going through these different block chords. Notice I'm not going chromatically. I'm just lifting up and moving around. Now, maybe that's too hard, to do those. So take triads, just major triads. So C major, E major, D major, A, G, F, C, E flat, G flat, A flat. So just lift up and move to different major triads. If you want a challenge, try doing it in both hands. Again, eyes closed. You can arpeggiate it. Okay? There's no real secret, like I said earlier, to playing, playing without looking at your hands. It's really a matter of just doing it over and over again. But you got to force yourself to do it. It's not easy. You'll find yourself saying like, let me look at what's going on. So you got to try and force yourself to not do that. Okay. Now, the other thing that I didn't talk about that's extremely important for why you should not look at your hands is reading music. If I'm going to look at music, right, so I have music in front of me. If I'm looking here, right, and typically I would look here and then, they're constantly doing this, right, looking up, looking down, looking up, looking down. Every time I look down, now my eyes are off of what? Off of the sheet, right? So I'm not looking at the sheet music anymore. So now my eyes have to come back up. They need to immediately focus and find where I am. Obviously, it's not a very efficient way of reading music. So what you want to do is you want to be looking at music. Okay? You want to look at the music and you want to be able to play it without having to look at your hands. This is where this practicing with your eyes closed and practicing in the dark helps. And you might say, how is practicing with my eyes closed going to help me like with reading music? My eyes are closed. Yes. Because where you're going to start is you're going to start by just getting comfortable feeling the keyboard without needing to look at your hands in order to play. So you're gaining this confidence, right? You're building up this confidence in yourself in which you know that, hey, look, I don't have to look at the piano in order to play, right? So those are some different concepts. Those are some different ways in which you can, avoid looking at your hands. Remember, looking at your hands is not a bad thing. It's not like, oh, you're a bad piano player if you look at your hands. You're definitely going to look at your hands from time to time. Like when you're going to lift up and you're going to move to a chord, especially if it's like, like You got to do something like that. You don't want to go like, yeah. You want to make sure you hit the chord, properly. So you're going to want to just take a quick peek down there and make sure that you got your notes under your fingertips. Trust me, as you do it more, as you work on this more and more, you're going to be very satisfied to be able to play without looking at your hands. You're also going to start to perk up your ears. Your ears are going to start to hear things because now you're not having to visually look at what it is you're doing. Right? It's going to make it easier for you to be able to read music, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to be able to interact with other members of the band, right? Or the audience, or just to be able to play and look out the window and look, oh, what a beautiful day, just being able to play and very satisfying to be able to play without looking at your hands. So anyway, I hope you got a couple of tricks and tips out of this lesson. Let me know what you think. I would always love to get your feedback and your comments, and see you in the next lesson at pianowithwillie.com. Take care.